Okay, before we start, I want to ask you some questions first. And how many of you have experience with text summarization? Please raise up your hand. Almost every one of you. How many of you have tried ChatGPT for text summarization? A large majority. And how many of you have tried using ChatGPT for long document summarization, which is even books? That's good, and many of you have experience. I also saw some of us, we don't have experience with long document summarization, so I think this could be the value I stand here to present our project and experience gained in this project. So you see the title, Hybrid Long Document Summarization using C2F-FAR and ChatGPT, and this is the core techniques we are using for long document summarization. And C2F-FAR stands for Coarse-to-Fine Facet-Aware Ranking. It's a technique used in the literature for extractive summarization. In this project, we combined with ChatGPT to do long document summarization. And you also see this is a practical study. Actually, we collaborate as HiSLU with getAbstract AG, and this is a company in Lucerne, in the business of text summarization, book summarization for knowledge market. So we worked together to do a tentative study. How could we use existing techniques to do book summarizations, long articles summarizations, and how good results are is able to use even in a production environment. So in this project, actually it's an InnoCheck project. I work with my colleague Sylvia, and she's a professor at our Institute for Professional Communication, and also with Tu, and he's the data scientist from getAbstract. So in my talk, I will walk you through the following agenda, and first I will give you some introduction of the project background, and then I will talk about some related works in long document summarization. Afterwards, I will introduce some data and methods we used and discuss the results, what we have achieved, observed in this project. Finally, some conclusions and outlook. So in this diagram, you can see actually the roadmap that we made for this InnoCheck project, quasi in about 150 hours we want to work with. At the beginning of this project, that was about October last year, ChatGPT was not released yet. So we thought what we could do when we use models to summarize long text. At that time, getAbstract provided me a database about 3,000 long articles and books. I think a lot of data, and we want to do something around it. The data was provided in PDF, and we need to do some data pre-processing and cleaning, prepare some cleaned data set before we can apply some models. You can see the length of the documents are actually quite long. It's even the articles like 30 pages, and books even 200, 300 pages, a very long document. At the beginning, I thought, how could I do it? Maybe I thought, yeah, there is some research about hybrid summarization. First, they use extractive models to extract original sentences from the document and to provide a base for the abstract summarization. Maybe this could work. So I researched literature and find some method. C2F-FAR is one of them. This MEMSUM is extractive summarization model based on reinforcement learning, and also some abstractive summarization models. SumN is based on summarization and summarization. The idea is to break the long document into blocks in pair compared to the part of the summaries, and to somehow figure out how to extract the information step by step. And DALI is abstract model as well. It's based on extraction and summarization end-to-end model. I started to apply this method because they are open source, and the code can be available on GitHub. And then very soon I realized this is not going to work within our InnoCheck project, because first the data was very unclean, so to say, because it was in a PDF format, and we need to extract a plain text, clean the plain text to prepare for the summarization pipeline. This is not even possible within our framework. The second challenge is that these models are trained already on the existing open source data set. So it's not so straightforward to directly apply them on our data set in different topics and different lengths, etc. Retraining such kind of model is not possible. Luckily, end of last year, ChatGPT came out and saved our lives. And we thought this could be something we really need to try because it performed very well even in a zero-shot learning basis. So why don't we take it and combine it with some existing method and to see how could we can perform. So you see this cross here. We are not going in this direction. The line you see, the solid, is something we tried in this project, which gave us some preliminary experience in text summarization. Then we reformulate it in this way. We get the data, clean the data, and then use C2F-FAR. It's an unsupervised model. We do not need to retrain it. To summarize the text, give us a shorter document, and then put that into ChatGPT to let it summarize and compare with the human written summaries. Because getAbstract has a lot of experience in human written summaries, so we can compare how good this model summary could be. And finally, we try to draw some impact on the business and how, if the company could use this pipeline in production. So the contribution of the work is listed here, and we propose to use some hybrid summarization models, including ChatGPT, to do summarization for a long document, including books. I have, in this project, we have observed some strengths and weakness of the pipeline, and which are well summarized into a paper. You can read this whole paper, more details online, searching with the same name of this talk. A quick word about the related work. There are many models for text summarization for short text, for example, news, to 600 words, and this can already work quite well, especially in English text. But for long document could be challenging. This is because the context in the document, long document, is much more complex, and there is a lack of open source data set that you can use as a benchmark, and also lack of a systematic evaluation framework that you can use to evaluate such kind of summarization process. So in the literature, there are some models based on either transformers, graph, reinforcement learning method to do long document up to, I think, 10,000 words, not more than that. Dataset available such as archive dataset, PubMed, government report, BookSum. This BookSum is relatively new about the novel books with human summaries on the chapter level, book level, and even the paragraph level, so you can use it to do benchmark studies. Evaluation, here we took some very typical matrix, including Roche score, BERT score, mover score. These are reference-based compared to the human summaries. And this blank and the F-time is based on reference-free and to estimate how good the quality the summary is. Of course, we also have a human evaluation in the end, because this is very important for long document. Yes, as I said, the data we used from getAbstract, and they provided us a lot of data, but unfortunately we could not manage to use all of them in this project. What we did is try to clean a small set of data, long articles, long books, and use it to test this hybrid summarization pipeline. We cleaned about 20 articles and 20 books to test the pipeline. And you might say this is so small a data set, but I think it already gave us some useful observations of the model performance. We used two methods to clean the text data. The articles are still quite short, if we can say that. So we used some existing open source toolbox in Python and to clean the text in an automatic way. And this runtime is acceptable, so we can really get pretty much cleaned text after this pipeline. But for books, this is not possible because it took a very long time to get a clean text. So we rather defined a self-cleaning process, mostly combining manual cleaning and automatic cleaning together. So you see, we first need to save that PDF into text data and use the Notepad++ with HIGEX to clean the very obvious uncleaned text, such as titles, figures, tables, subheadings, etc., all these things. Then we have a small Python program and following a logic, clean the text further. And this is based on, for example, if we have a long book and we remove the things before the first chapter, everything after the last chapter, we assume at the end of this document it's already quite cleaned. Then we look backward from the end of the document, check the previous lines whether it's punctuation indicating a stop of the sentence. If yes, then we try to incorporate that into the existing cleaned text step by step. So in that way, we gradually get a rather cleaned text. I'm not saying it's 100% clean, but already this could serve a basis for use in the text summarization pipelines. Yeah, about the method we use. And as I said, this C2F-FAR, Coarse-to-Fine Facet-Aware Ranking, is an unsupervised method. I choose it not because it's the most state-of-the-art method, but because I don't need to retrain it using our own data. The idea is very simple. You encode the sentence into the vectors using some pre-trained models, and then you compare the sentences in a running window and to say at which point the semantic meaning of the sentences change suddenly. So imagine you can plot such kind of curve and the semantic meaning similarity between the two windows, left hand, right hand side. If they are not so similar to each other, then the model says here it is a point that we should separate because the text before and after this point talking about different semantic things. In that way, the method can divide automatically the text into different blocks, and for each block, the algorithm can further use some centrality algorithm to evaluate which sentence best represents the semantic meaning of that block, and how many blocks we should keep, and etc. And so it automatically extracts a number of sentences which were assumed to be very important to be representative for the original document. And this is something we use and to extract the sentence and put that into ChatGPT. However, there are still several parameters, of course, can be tuned in this method, including some method to control how many blocks you want to choose. So it will influence the final number of blocks or length of the abstract you can generate. But in my test, I just used the default setting from the paper. So here is a very simple test, how many the blocks will be divided in the document according to the length of the document. The longer the document, say books, and of course it will give a lot of semantic changes in the text. So it goes hand in hand almost. And we also did a very preliminary test of the ChatGPT based on the books we know in our data set. For articles, we asked ChatGPT to summarize the following text in your own words in about 25 sentences. I later realized that these 25 sentences actually not exactly controlling the number of sentences because ChatGPT cannot exactly generate 25 sentences. Rather, it's only a prompt used to influence the length of the output. Normally, the first round will generate a very short summary, and I need to ask or repeat the prompt to a ChatGPT or ask it to give more details. Then it will give a pretty much longer text. For books, we repeated the same thing actually, but we need to truncate the C2F-FAR generates the text from books into chunks about 3 pages long, and because ChatGPT has a token limitation. Even before that, I did some very quick test and to ask ChatGPT to summarize article using different style. And this is in the prompt I asked it, please summarize in a professional style, easy to understand style. Maybe I even myself don't understand what it does easy to understand mean, some keywords. And I saw some difference in the output. Basically, the text follow the same structure because this book is talking about the 10 influencing factors about immigration in the US. So 10 factors, and these are listed very obviously in the book. And summary also reflect this fact. But different style of the summarization, we can generate a slightly difference in the output text. This is very professional way written, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4 different bullet points, maybe easy to understand. This is what ChatGPT understands. So after get some exact information about both the method, we combine them together. First, we use that to perform on the books. We first did the first test we did is the comparison of C2F-FAR generated text with human written summaries, and measure that under the automated matrix. So you can see this Roche 1 score actually is quite high compared to literature. It's about 0.4, even over that. Roche 2 score and Roche L score is quite low compared to literature. In the literature, it's about 0.2 and 0 for Roche 2, 0.4 for Roche L. And this means a C2F-FAR method can capture the keywords quite well because it's an extractive method compared to the human ones. The length here, I just assigned 25 sentences for text summary. So sometimes the length can be longer compared to human written one, sometimes shorter. When I look at the reference-free matrix about the Guang score and the S-time score, you can refer to the literature about the definition of this matrix. And basically, the Blanc score helps them people to understand how the summary can help some language model to understand the original text. If the score is higher, that means the generated summary quality is good. It can help you understand the original document. The S time is based on checking the consistency between the summary and the original text. If at a certain point the words are used in different ways, then using different words, and so this S-time align will be higher. Otherwise, it will be lower. And the S-time sort is measured on the semantic basis, so it's in the other way, other direction of the measurement compared to S-time align. So you see here, based on the extractive summarization, actually the quality of the C2F-FAR summary is better than humans written based on this reference-free matrix. And this also makes quite sense because it's extractive based. Of course, it can help the models to understand the original document better. So I have one example here. And this is based on the article, not the books. I just use run C2F-FAR to generate a summary, and compared to human summaries, I manually labeled which part of the text talking about the same thing using the same color. So you can see that based on the default parameters from C2F-FAR, it already can capture some key facts in the human summaries, which we as a human also want to describe to the readers. So I think that's not so bad, and it could be used as a basis for ChatGPT. And then we use the ChatGPT to perform summaries over the articles and books. The prompt we use is please summarize the article, giving the name of the article in approximately 500 words using a described style. And this is still independent of the C2F-FAR, but we want to test how the model can generate summaries. Then we realized that there are some observations. And first, the summaries can be generated quite quickly compared to any existing models to generate summaries. But very importantly, the structure is very mechanical. It always says this book begins blah, 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 and then it talks blah, blah, blah. And this does not influenced by the prompt we are using. And there are some style problems, including the content, sometimes somewhat too general, faithfulness problem, wrong document, even the wrong document summarized. And here is one example where I labeled exact problem manually identified in text. And this you can see in the paper in detail. And And we did some tests on ChatGPT's paraphrasing capabilities, because in production, we cannot use exactly the same sentence from the book to do the summarization give to the readers. This is not allowed. So we need to change the sentences. And basically what we did here is to ask the ChatGPT to either summarize, rewrite, or summarize or rewrite the text based on the article, and then measure that using the automatic matrix. And here I can roughly say that ChatGPT has some capability to rewrite text, but still it relies very much on the input text. The rewriting is always following the style or content of the original input text. Here, a final quick summarization almost, and because this is with getAbstract, we are not allowed to publish the annotated. We have like I think 50, 60 pages of annotation where the problem arises in different part of summarization compared to human summarization. But here, general observation is that the summary has a problem with the coherence, with the hallucination problem, and also the style problem. You can read the paper for details. But very interestingly, I personally think this hallucination is a very important problem to overcome in the future. But when I talk with getAbstract, the editor says we humans need to check even human written summaries need to be checked carefully before the publication. So this should not be a big issue. Rather, they care about the style. The text generated very mechanical, and this is too boring for the readers. And almost the editor need to rewrite everything and to make it work. Finally, some conclusions. Overall, I say that our hybrid summarization model gives a very good performance of long document summary at first sight based on the automated matrix. But when you look details, and it generates a lot of problems with physicalness, style, coherence, which cannot be avoided easily into the production environment. So future work we will further test this ChatGPT model, including GPT-4, because we observed GPT-4 performed much better compared to GPT 3.5, although it's much slower. But need to be further tested, and also to think of a new framework and how to evaluate the quality of the summaries. And privacy is also a very important issue if we want to apply these LLMs into the production. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
We have like 5-6 minutes for questions. We'll start by you as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you actually for setting my some paper. It's actually a work from our group, produced by former work colleagues in Oregon. Thank you very much. And again, what I want to ask, why is exactly the reason that you didn't use MapSum to include as one of the baselines? Because I know that our summarizer was trained on scientific text, and then you're doing view of some non-documents for articles and books. Is that the reason that you didn't use this? Because we thought, we have to reinforcement learning, right? That take a synthesis from the rest of our document and maximize the root one and root two arithmetic meaning. So I think we have pretty group. I'm just eager to know what is the reason that
Thank you very much. I think this is a good question. Actually, I tried this MemSum based on reinforcement learning and applied that trained model on the government report text on our data set.
Yes.
The result based on Rushman score is okay comparable to the C2F-FAR method, but I didn't proceed further because I thought to reach the maximum performance, I need to retrain it on our data set. This takes time, and we don't even have the data to train the model.
So, okay. So you have your pure PDF documents, which is not.
Yeah, we have the PDF document, and we need to extract the plain text. And to extract clean text itself is very tedious because we have a very limited hours. We need to spend time on other tasks.
Okay, great. I'll just text the author and he sends you all regards.
Thank you very much.
Is there another question?
After the presentation, you mentioned that there was hallucination of like halfway through the summary. Did it continue the hallucination until the end, or was the
it can go back and forth, and sometimes in the middle it's making a lot of errors, but it can go back to the original document, catch up the topic. And I don't know the reason why. The hallucination can be both extractive and intrinsic. Intrinsic means sometimes the summaries make up, for example, book written in this year, write something about next year, and this is not possible. Some contexts we didn't identify that in a human summary, so it's very difficult to say whether it's really true or just a make up by the model. So it can, both situations can happen.
So you didn't detect the patterns from the
No, no. In the end, we did about, I think, less than 10 long documented books because annotation, human annotation, taking a lot of time.
Thanks for the talk. I was wondering, you said like long document summarization, but like ChatGPT, what was the limit? 4,000 tokens or?
Close to 4,000 for GPT 3.5. For GPT 4, we tried 8,000.
Yeah.
But still, these books is like how long?
They were way longer. But this leads actually me to my actual question: is that have you looked into like chapter summarization and kind of like doing this prompt chaining of like first like chapter summarization and then all the summaries by chapter summary to a full?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think also should be a very valuable way to try. We didn't try because we only have summaries from humans on the whole book level.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. In the literature, there are from these reinforcement learning-based models, some piece by piece and coming up to the top, or based on some frameworks to capture long-range dependency in the text. They are doing such kind of ideas, as you said.
And maybe like one final comment, sorry, is like you said that sometimes it does this hallucination in between, or like you don't know actually where it will appear, but maybe like what I saw works is that you ask it to refine, like it generates first like a summary, and then you ask it to refine, to like reduce or like include citations or something like that. Like we did something like this to really like cite all the statements.
Yeah, we tried that to a certain extent, also ask the text to include citations. But still, there could be other problems detected.
Yeah.
And normally we try with a two-step prompt to ChatGPT. If we try further, sometimes it will generate random text non-relevant to our input text. I don't know why. So,
Good luck.
Thanks.
We have a room for one last question, if there is.
Susie.
we can also chat in private, but I was just wondering, because there are different prompting strategies, right? What if you ask the ChatGPT to fill in some kind of style template or some kind of predefined template by the editor within all to an extent? And the question is that, do you spot any difference between genres or type of topics, or historical or technical? Is there a difference at the style?
I think that's a good idea. As far as I'm not a human summary expert, but they have some, for example, predefined template to guide the editors how to do summaries. And this is a very ideal process even for humans. If that can help for ChatGPT, I think very promising. It could help to guide or give even some examples to guide the ChatGPT summarize according to the given template. Maybe that's possible.
Thank you again for the presentation. You can So the poster